How's it going, Gumi Gang, and welcome back to the channel. Now, today's video, we're going to be talking about the new aftermarket part that came into play not too long ago, and this is the JAK Cutthroat, which is a 3D printed stock that basically gives you great speed when you're aiming down sights. The whole thing about this stock is it gives you a good boost to your aim down sights movement speed, which can be really pivotal in a lot of gunfights, especially with good players. You want to have good aim down sights movement speed, or you're just kind of a turtle that's super easy to track. Now, it's only available on certain weapon platforms, and unfortunately, basically 90% of all the shotguns aren't going to be able to use it, but this is available on the M4 weapon platform, which also means it's available on the Riveter shotgun since it's part of that same platform, so you can equip the JAK Cutthroat stock on the Riveter. Now, this is basically going over that build that I had before, that super small, super fast build for the Riveter. This is basically the same build, but we're essentially going to take, instead of the buffer tube, which we usually do, we're going to put the JAK Cutthroat on it this time, and what that enables us is it gives us a better aim down sights movement speed bonus than the other traditional buffer tube stock. Now, your overall movement with the other stock is going to be a little bit better, but if we're just talking aim down sights movement speed, you're going to see that with the JAK Cutthroat in particular, we're going to have an even faster aim down sights movement speed, and that is what really kind of helps elevate this build to be a little bit better, especially in solos and duos where this thing tends to shine. So the build we're going to modify is this build right here, which is basically just the fastest Riveter build you could possibly make. It's not the most ideal Riveter build, but this is one of those incredibly fun builds that's really actually not too bad in solos and duos. It can be a little finicky because, again, the Riveter has only 4 pellets and you're not focusing very much on tac stance spread or aim down sight spread, so it can get you killed in a little bit further distances, past maybe 7 meters or so, but you are going to have incredible speed with this build, and with the JAK Cutthroat stock, it's going to make you even harder to hit if you are strafing as you should be when you use this gun in gunfights. Now, as an added bonus, go ahead and find a perk package that you want to modify and go ahead and put the Stalker perk on it, because that does give you, according to JGod, about a maybe 10 to 15% increase to your aim down sights movement speed. So along with this and the JAK Cutthroat stock on this speedy Riveter build, this is an incredibly fun thing that you need to try, again, especially in solos and duos. Now, the buffer tube does give you just generally more mobility overall, so you can make an argument that that's the better way to go. It's really not a big deal, but if you just want to focus and min-max purely on aim down sights movement speed or strafe speed in gunfights, then go ahead and put on the JAK Cutthroat and use the Stalker perk just for fun. Again, the Stalker perk really isn't necessary, it's not mandatory, but again, it's like if you're trying to min-max, just go completely all in one direction, you definitely want to give it a try because it does make it pretty fun. Like I said, the demoed buffer tube is still a great stock. It's still the better for overall mobility, but if you want to min-max with that strafe speed, the JAK Cutthroat is the way to go. Now, I'll put up a little bit of a comparison on screen so you can see that the JAK Cutthroat is actually just a little bit faster when it comes to aim down sights movement speed, just in case you weren't aware. It's not by this crazy margin, but it is noticeable, and you are going to be moving a little bit faster. And in case you're new here, I am going to flash up the stats for the Riveter with Incendiary on screen so you can get an idea of how strong this thing can be. Now, it's really strong up close, mainly in that sort of underneath 5 meters mark. That is really where this thing is going to excel, but even past that out to 10 meters, this can still compete with a lot of SMGs. It's 600 milliseconds. Granted, if you miss a shot, it goes up a little bit. It's a little unforgiving, especially again since you only have 4 pellets and this build only focuses on aim down sight speed and not really having a good tight spread. It can get you killed in a little bit further distances. And also, we're using a barrel that hurts our range, so you'll notice that as well. But of course, it makes up for it by how fast you are, and you don't have to be as precise at closer ranges since you do have a little bit of spread. But again, 4 pellets, that can really screw up some people's days. The best way to use this is to be as aggressive as possible and always strafe left and right. Sometimes it also helps to juke the player where you kind of slide maybe one direction and then you immediately start strafing the other direction because they're still going to be kind of tracking left and aim assist might not kind of pull them to the right. So it's a really fun way to kind of juke people, and it's very, very effective, but you kind of have to use your skill to kind of get that down a little bit, where again, you slide in one direction and then kind of start going to the other direction as you aim down sights and shoot. It's really fun when it works, and it's super satisfying. Again, this build is primarily for solos. It can work in duos occasionally. It's not super great in trios and quads because you're kind of having to reload between engagements because teammates are always close to each other. So it makes it to where you basically have to switch guns, which if you're like me and you just want to get clips with the gun, you end up dying a lot because because you're trying to reload between engagements and then you get overrun. So this is definitely a solos or duos build, and I definitely recommend it in solos because it can still work some magic against unsuspecting players. Now, is it the most ideal Riveter build? Absolutely not, but it is one of the most fun, and that's generally what Call of Duty is about, is having fun while still being somewhat competitive, and this thing is mainly for fun. But guys, that is just about going to do it for this video, so I want to know, as always, down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on this build? Do you still prefer this thing with the demo buffer tube? Have you even used this build at all? Are you going to try it out with that JAK Cutthroat stock that I recommend? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.